Hello student, good morning to all. How you all are beta? Take care yourself and to study well, okay? Today I am going to start history chapter 6 First Kingdom and Republics, okay? Our chapter name is what beta? First Kingdom and Republic, okay? Now in this what we are going to study our what is content? Janpad, Mahajanpad, types of government, monarchies, republics, new developments, extensive use of iron, new technique of agriculture, organized system of taxation, trade and urbanization. Okay, now we are going to start from Janpad. Do you know what is Janpad? In last chapter, what we have studied? We have studied about the Vedic period. Do you remember, student? Huh? Are you all doing revision? Please do revision. In last chapter we have studied about the Vedic society, okay? About the Vedic period. Now, in this chapter what we are going to study? In this chapter we are going to study after the later Vedic period. After the later Vedic period. Now, after the when the tribal society when the tribal society set up by later Vedic period led to the formation of big territorial states. After some period, the society of tribals formed of big territorial states. Many such states grew up all over the Ganga valley. Many of them mostly set up near the Ganga valley. So some of the states grew up into powerful empires. Okay, they had a separate government for administration and were independent from any external control. These states were established between 600 BC and 400 BC. The main source of information of this period are the Vedic and Buddhist texts. The Vedic texts like the Brahmanas and the Upanishad give information about the Janpad and Mahajanpad. The Buddhist texts like the Jataka tales give a detailed description of the society. Again I am repeating students about the Janpad. Listen carefully. The tribal society set up by later Vedic period led to the formation of big territorial states. Okay, you all know about the tribal societies. You all know na later Vedic period we have already studied in last chapter. Okay, so when tribal societies set up in big territorial states, when they form their society into big territorial states, then some states of them grew up over the Ganga valley. Some states of them grew up over the Ganga valley. And when those states grew up into powerful empires, they had a separate government for administration. Okay, and were dependent from any external control. These states, those who have powerful administration and independent, these states were established between 600 BC and 400 BC. The main source of information of this period we get from Vedic and Buddhist text. The Vedic texts like the Brahmanas and the Upanishad, it gives us information about this period, about the Janpad, about the Mahajanpad. And the Buddhist texts like the Jataka tales, it gives a detailed description of the society of this period. Okay. When the Aryans settled in the Ganga valley, they had to clear all the forest for settlements. When the Aryans settled in the Ganga valley, they had to clear all the forest for settlements. So, iron tools helped the Aryans to clear the forest, which enabled the formation of Janpad. And the more powerful Janpad were called Mahajanpad. Excavation at Kasi and Patliputra, it gives us information in Buddhist and Jain literature about the existence of Mahajanpad. During this period, there were 16 Mahajanpad in the Ganga Valley in the 6th century. These Janpad were either republic or monarchies and they took the name of the tribe in that area. Now, what is republic and monarchy? This I will tell you later on, okay? All these Mahajanpads were constantly fighting against each other for territory. To protect the territories, a big standing army was maintained by kings. The soldiers were paid in the form of coins called koshapana in order to maintain an army. The king collected tax from the cultivation. The taxes were used to build forts, create public welfare utilities like wells, roads, canals, guest houses, etc. And the tax was in the form of cash and kind, and it was collected by an officer called Sangritri. Okay, when the Aryans settled in Ganga Valley, they had to clear all the forest. Okay, so iron tools during this period, iron implements, tool, weapons, flourished. And with the help of iron implements, tool, weapons, the Aryans enabled the formation of Janpad. And the more powerful Janpad were called Mahajanpad. Okay. By about 600 BC. During the period from 600 BC to 400 BC, these appeared in India a few powerful kingdom and republic. The Buddhist and Jain literature are our chief source of information about this period. By about 600 BC, the people had cleared various tracts in the Ganga plain. Each of these was held by a ruling clan comprising various tribes. The small states were called Janpad, and with the passage of time, these Janpad conquered the neighboring territories and thus were formed the Mahajanpad. Okay, student? Small states were called the Janpad. With the passage of time, these Janpad conquered the neighboring territories and thus were formed the Mahajanpad. Okay. A little before Buddha, northern India came to be divided into 16 such Mahajanpad. And Mahajanpad, 16 Mahajanpad, they were Anga, Magad, Kasi, Kaushala, Vajji, Mala, Chedi, Vatsa, Kuru, Panchala, Matsya, Surasena, Ashaka, Avanti, Gandhara, Kamboj. Among these Mahajanpads, some were kingdoms while other were republics. Now, what were republics? About the republics, I will tell you later on, okay? But firstly, you try to understand about the Janpad and Mahajanpad. Now, what is Mahajanpad? Janpad, you understood? Janpad means smaller states, okay? In those period, states were smaller, they were known as Mahajanpad. And after some period, when Janpad conquered the neighboring territories and when they formed big state, so those states were known as Mahajanpad, okay? Now, Mahajanpad. Mahajanpad means big states, okay? Later, around 2500 years ago, some Janpad, because of their ambition of expansion and occurrence of mutual conflicts, became more important than others. They registered a good expansion and grew into Mahajanpad. After years of fighting, four of these, namely Magda, Vatsa, Avanti, and Koshala, emerged as the most powerful and important Mahajanpads. Subsequently, Magad overtook the other three and remained the epicenter of all major political activities across the Indian subcontinent for many centuries. Under their mighty and ambitious rulers, some of the Janpad gradually expanded and grew into larger political entities. These were known as the Mahajanpad or the greater kingdoms. See, about 2500 years ago, some Janpad became more important than others and were known as Mahajanpad. Most Mahajanpads had a capital city. Many of these were fortified. This means that huge walls of wood, brick, or stone were built around them. Forts were probably built because people were afraid of attacks from other kings and needed protection. It is also likely that some rulers wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really large, tall, and impressive walls around their cities. Also, in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. Thousands, if not lakh, of brick or stone had to be prepared. This in turn meant enormous labor provided, possibly by thousands of men, women, and children. Okay? Literary Mahajanpad means great kingdoms. Okay, great kingdoms. According to some ancient Buddhist texts, as many as 16 Mahajanpad, including kingdoms and republics, emerged in the northern and northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent around 600 BCE. Now, monarchy. The Mahajanpads were basically of two types. Those Mahajanpads that were ruled by individual king were called monarchies, while those that were governed by a council of rulers were called republics or Ghana Sangha. Okay? Republics or Ghana Sangha. And republics were ruled by the council of rulers. Okay? Now monarchies. Monarchies is which type of government? Kings of some Mahajanpas steadily assumed great power and began to exercise complete control over all affairs relating to their subjects. Due to this, monarchy became the dominant form of state and government. The institution of kingship became hereditary and based on the principle of primogeniture or Jeshtha Adhikar. King of Mahajanpad steadily assumed great power and began to exercise complete control over all affairs relating to their subjects. Due to this, monarchy became the dominant form of state and government, and the institution of kingship became hereditary and based on the principle of primogeniture or Jeshtha Adhikar. As per this principle, the eldest son of the king succeeded his father and occupied the throne after the death of the latter. The king would often nominate his successor during his lifetime. The prince, who was thus nominated by his royal father as his successor, was called heir apparent or Yuvraj. Coronation or Rajabhishek of the king was an important ceremony in which priests and people from certain sections of society, apart from the members of the royal family, participated. Understood? Now, what is a monarchy? Power is in the hands of a single person, either king or queen. This is known as monarchy. Now, monarchy is of two types. Absolute monarchy, ruler that has total control, and limited monarchy, some restriction placed upon monarch. Power is hereditary, passed through bloodlines. Most believed in divine right or that their power came from God. The king, what was the administration? King was the center of administrative superstructure and king used to select ministers and high officials. Administrative structure was as follows. King assisted by Mantri Parishad, Council of Ministers, whose member included Mantri Parishad, Adhyaksh, and below him was as following. During the age of the Mahajanpad, the king became the symbol of the state, okay, with absolute powers in his hand. He came to be seen as the protector of society as well as dharma. From the later Vedic period, we learn about three types of officials. These three types of officials who help the kings. Student, please listen and remember it. Amatyas or ministers. Amatyas or minister who assisted the king in governing the state. Next one is the Senapati. Senapati who led the king's army on the battlefield. And the last is the Purohit. The Purohit who guided the king on how to perform the various religion and social duties sanctioned by the scriptures. In order to expand their territories through conquest and to establish law and order within the kingdom, powerful kings kept and maintained standing armies. It means permanent armies, always in a state of preparedness. Soldiers recruited in the army received regular salaries from the royal exchequer or Rajkos throughout the year. Payments were made either in kind or in cash. For cash payments, particular type of coins called punchmark coins were used. Paper money that we use today was unknown on that time. Understood? Most of the Mahajanpad, such as Magad, were ruled by kings and were known as kingdoms or monarchies. Okay, understood? The kings were hereditary rulers and enjoyed absolute powers. They believed in expanding their territory through war to gain power and fame. The people had no role in choosing a king. The king was advised by the Purohit or the priest and the Gramini or the head of the village. The ministers or the Amatyas and the Senapati helped him in the administration. Bali Satkas, who were they? They were tax collectors. They were tax collectors who collect the tax from the people. Okay. Next is Republic. Republics is known as Ghana Sangha also. Now, what does it mean? The term Ghana is used for a group that has many members. Sangha means organization or association. The Janpad and Mahajanpad, which were ruled by representatives elected by the people, were known as Republic or Ghana Sangha, as for example the Mahajanpad of Vajji, Vaishali and Mala. Ghana Sangha, the term Ghana is used for a group and that has many members. Sangha means organization or association. Okay. So, in such republics, common people choose their representatives to take important decisions about the Janpad on their behalf. In republics, common people choose their representatives to take important decisions about the Janpads on their behalf. Nobody has absolute powers. They were not one but many rulers. Each one was known as a Raja. These Rajas performed rituals together. They met in assemblies and decided what had to be done and how. Decisions were arrived at other debates and discussions. For example, if they were attacked by an enemy, they met to discuss what should be done to meet the threat. However, women dasas and karamkaras could not participate in these assemblies. Both the Buddha and Mahavir belong to Ghanas or Sanghas. Buddhist book give us vivid description of life in the Sanghas. Apart from the monarchical Mahajanpads or large kingdoms ruled by individual kings, there were many ancient states where political power was exercised by a group of people. Students, do you understand what does republic means? Republic means those states which was ruled by a group of people. These were called Ghanas or Ghana Rajyas or Ghana Sanghas, terms that are generally translated as republics. A republican Mahajanpad was thus ruled by a group of people rather than by a single individual. The group of rulers of these Mahajanpads were usually male heads of particular families. They met several times where senior and responsible citizens made all decisions unemotionally or through collective consent. The assembly of republic was called Ghana Parishad. The Ghana Parishad had the supreme authority to the state. The assembly was called Ghana Parishad and the Ghana Parishad had the supreme authority in the state. Decisions were taken by simple majority and in a democratic manner. The republics were mostly located in the Himalayan foothills, Punjab and northwest India. The Mahajanpas of Vajji and Mala, as well as some smaller states such as Lichavi, Sakhya, Kolea, Bhaga, and Moya were Ghana Sanghas. The republics were basically of two types. The republics comprising a single tribe like those of the Sakhyas, the Kolias, and the Malas. Next, the republics comprising a number of tribes or the republics of confederacy such as the Vajji. Student, again I am repeating. The republic was ruled by a group of people. Okay, group of people. It often consisted of a single tribe such as the Sakyas, Kolias and Malas, or at time of a group of tribes such as the Vajis and Yadavas. They had an assembly of learned persons and were headed by a Raja who was also elected and was free to maintain an army which was controlled by his Senapati. This shows that they were democratic in nature. Okay. For example, Vajji, the Republic of Vajji. Okay. Now we are going to know about the Vajji. The Mahajanpad of Vajji was one of the world's first democratic republic. The Mahajanpad of Vajji was one of the world's first democratic republic. Vajji, located in the foothill of Himalayas, includes part of modern-day Nepal. The capital city of Vaishali was a prosperous town. Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, was born at a place called Kundagrama near Vaishali. The confederacy of Vajji was composed of 8 tribes, the most famous being the Lichavis. The Lichavis were freedom-loving people. They were tribals, okay? The Republican form of government based on democratic principles is the greatest achievement of Lichavis. Vajji was governed by an assembly which consisted of representatives of the 8 clans or tribes. The chairman of the assembly was known as Ghana Pramukh. However, the position of Ghana Pramukh was not like a hereditary king. All important decisions were taken after discussions in the assembly. If for some reason they could not arrive at a decision, the matter was put to vote. To carry out the administration, it had a smaller council consisting of the king, the deputy king, the senapati, and the bhandarika. A special committee was appointed to deal with other states and republics. Students, Lichavis were famous for their bravery during that period. Even great king like Ajatashatru had to fight for 16 years with Lichavis to conquer them. The Lichavis had made a great progress in art and culture. Their love for art is visible in the beautiful chaityas, viharas and gardens built by them. Buddha and Mahavira both praise republican form of government. Okay. Hello students, this is second video of chapter 6, history, first kingdoms and republics. Now our topic is extensive use of iron. Now during this period actually marked the initial phases of the Iron Age in India. Use of iron for different purposes became more extensive due to its large scale use in the manufacture of ploughshare and other agricultural implements. It was easier now to bring the heavy cleared soil of the Gangetic plains under cultivation. As a result, agricultural production steadily increased. Iron access helped in clearing forests, due to which people started moving towards modern UP and Bihar. In this period, iron were used rapidly, and during this period, there were two major changes had come in agriculture. The first was the use of iron plowshares in place of the wooden plowshares. which enabled people to grow more and more grain because now hard land could be turned into a better soil. Secondly, the people had learned to transport paddy instead of scatting seeds on the ground. Now, sapling of rice could be grown and then planted in the fields. The harm that was done by scratching the seeds by the birds and rats was now avoided, which led to increased production. Now, next topic is occupation. What were the occupation of people? During this period, the main occupation of people was agriculture because the revenue coming from agriculture formed the economic backbone of both the monarchical and republican states. Due to the discovery of new and more productive techniques and tools, agricultural production increased substantially. As you all know that during this period, uh, iron, the use of iron flourished, and this age was also known as Iron Age. So agriculture also increased. Uh, so during this age, people learned the technique of paddy transplantation. Paddy transplantation technique people learned in this age. This technique, which is still in practice, is highly productive. In this technique, saplings were grown and then planted in prepared fields rather than seeds being scattered on the ground. It required the employment of large number of workers, and the workers who performed this task, they were known as dasas and karmakaras, perform this task. So paddy transplantation technique was learnt by people in this age. New techniques of agriculture also people brought in this age, and the extensive use of iron also increased in this age. Okay.